The world is getting more and more complex. How do you stay calm in the midst of chaos? This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to stay calm in the midst of chaos. When you got to go to work on Monday and you see the chaos of all of the logistics that need to get done, how do you keep your cool? People are coming at you from all different directions, demanding this, demanding that. Your boss is asking for this, your coworker's asking for that, your spouse is asking for this and that. How do you deal with all of these obligations and not lose your sanity? I'm going to share with you my story. But before I delve into it, anxiety is on the rise. People are snapping at each other. They're becoming super judgmental, pointing fingers. It's becoming so commonplace that it seems normal. We actually watch fights and enjoy it. We want to egg people on. It's not a healthy way to be. You got to stop the fighting and stop the arguing. There's nothing glorifying about arguing and having to win the argument all the time. And then stress is going to just raise your blood pressure and give you a heart attack. It's not a good place to be in. I see patients all the time with so much chronic tension due to stress. How does the tension get there? What are you doing? You're not working out. You're not doing some sport, some repetitive motion over and over. It is stress, because when your mind is stressed, it translates into the body, the shoulders, and the shoulders get tight. So how do you deal with the constant demands of life and remain calm and clear? Well, let's talk about fighting, because I studied and practiced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 4 years. I no longer do it. Got too many injuries. But while I was doing it, I have CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I've done a lot of healing work on myself, but getting into that sparring situation certainly triggered me. And in the beginning, it just bring out an aggression in me. And then I would just roll and spar even harder. And I was encouraged to roll harder. But as I kept continuing training, you're encouraged to practice technique. So, because technique will conquer strength. And no matter how much I raged out, it didn't really work against higher belts. As a white belt, we start sparring from day one. And every single day, every single class, we would spar. And as I got better, I got more comfortable sparring. But in the beginning, it was like, it's either me or this person. Now, I know, through maturity, this person's not trying to kill me, and I'm certainly not trying to kill them. But it sure does feel that way, or felt that way in the sparring. If you've ever sparred, you know what I mean. You eventually come to a place of calmness and mutual respect where you don't take it personally. But in the beginning, I wasn't there yet. I kept getting triggered over and over and over again. And when I got my blue belt, I really realized that getting angry it's not going to work. Getting stronger, I work out too, and using strength and using power doesn't work. Especially against higher belts, I'd get my ass handed to me, which was a blessing because I really learned a lot. But I remember one particular sparring session. It was a no-gi class. The year is 2018. And Professor Stefano says, Spencer, I want you to spar with this guy. And this guy was just a random person who walked in and wanted to train with us. And he was about 40 pounds heavier than me. And I didn't know his skill level, so I went up against him. And I can tell this guy, I immediately knew this guy knows what he's doing. He's either purple belt or brown belt. Not quite, I don't think he's a black belt, but he's got technique, and he's strong, and he's fast, and he's bigger than me. So I tried some things, and he countered it. I was like, oh, God, he knows all these moves. He knows how to counter. Then he's slapping on submissions, and I knew, okay, this guy knows exactly how to counter what I'm doing. So, lost the first sparring match, and when you roll, you just continually roll. You just you slap hands, bam, and then you do the fist pump. That comes from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We do that, slap hands, fist pump, and okay, I picked up on this guy knows what he's doing. I can't, there's nothing I can do to beat this guy. So I got to go into defense. In the middle of that rolling, I realized, as I'm getting clobbered, I said to myself, I can either get angry, get more aggressive, and get my adrenaline going and try to overpower him, or remember my training. Remember everything that I was taught. Defense. Go into defense right now. And he tried submissions on me. I knew what he was going to do. He had this whole sequence of submissions that he went through, and I picked up on that by the third roll. And so I started to just defend. Defend. And it didn't matter. My pride wasn't hurt. My ego wasn't hurt. I lost. It wasn't like, oh, crap, I could have won. No, I successfully defended myself. And in that calmness, in that chaos, I found clarity because I had a choice. And this is what created that clarity, was I realized I had a choice. I can either rage out and get upset, or I can simply apply what I've learned. It became very cerebral rather than emotional. I learned to calm my emotions down and think my way through it, and therefore successfully defended myself where he could not land a submission on me by the end of the whole rolling session. And I could tell he was frustrated because I had, from the rolling one to the last roll, I had already learned everything that I needed to learn. And I had changed my whole routine to adapt to his attacks. And he knew that I did that. So it was a real lesson for me. A lesson of, I have a choice. And this is what I want to convey to you, because in the chaos of life, you have a choice. You can either choose to get upset, or you can choose to apply a solution. And this is what I mean. You can't control everything around you. Most people get upset because they lose control and they feel life is unfair. People aren't doing what they want them to do, and they get upset. I mean, part of that's because poor communication and poor leadership, but that's stuff like that can be learned. What I'm talking about is right there in the moment, before you learn that, you got to learn self-control. It doesn't mean suppress your emotions. It means you have a choice to react or respond. Reacting is like having a needle pinch into you, and you just, ow. Where responding would be, that needle hurt. I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that again. The next time you do that, I'm going to do a wrist lock on you and potentially sprain your wrist. That would be a response. So there's a difference between a reaction and responding. Your ability to respond is your responsibility. And that is on your shoulders. You can't blame everybody. You can't expect everybody to cater to your needs to make you feel comfortable. They're not going to boost your self-esteem for you. They're not going to make you feel significant. You can't expect people to validate you. Leaders have a knack of doing that. They validate you, they make you feel validated, and they make you feel heard. That's what makes being around a leader, a good experience, is they know how to lead people. And they don't take things personally. Nothing is, you want to personalize everything and think everything is an attack towards you. It's not going to do you any good. It's just going to make you angrier. And really, is it about you? Or is everybody out to get you? You know what I mean? When people are demanding things from you, it's because they believe that you can fulfill those obligations. So how do you fulfill them? With ease. You take any personal expectation out of the picture. It's that expectation that creates the frustration. It's the personalization, thinking that they're attacking your integrity, attacking your time, taking the fun away from you. If it's a contractual agreement, like you're an employee and it's your employer, meaning you have a job to do, or even in a relationship, especially husband and wife, where you feel obligated to your spouse. There is a certain degree of obligation that comes with the nature of the situation, marriage, relationship, professional, work, job related. You're responsible. So, in other words, you can't complain. You can't complain about not having your way, about things not being pleasing to you. Because half of the time when you're frustrated, it's because you work yourself up with the dialogue that you tell yourself. This isn't fair. They're being a jerk. I deserve better than this. How come they're not validating me? How come they're not making me feel important? How come they're not respecting me? You keep telling yourself this, you're playing victim. And the more you play victim, which is really just a feeling of powerlessness and helplessness, you get stuck in that powerlessness, which is basically a flight, fight, fawn, or freeze response. You feel frozen. And it's that frozen feeling that is very uncomfortable, and you blame other people for making you feel that way. Because it's your reaction. It's your innate reaction to keeping yourself safe. Only in that situation, nothing's really threatening you except maybe demanding of your time. And you may feel your time is no longer yours, that you have to give your time to other people, which that could feel like, well, something's being taken from you. Nobody's taking your time. Time is not something you get. It's not something you put in your hand and give. You're just living life, going through the wheel of time, and that's just life. Everybody's getting older. Nobody's getting younger. The sun is going from one end of the sky to the other as our Earth rotates. You can't stop the rotation of the Earth. You can't stop time. So no matter what, you've got to just say, hey, this is going to happen. So I might as well grab the bull by its horns and take it on full force and really do it well. Be impeccable. When you bring impeccability into the picture, you really take on the challenge and own it. That is responding rather than reacting. When you have that attitude, that viewpoint, you accept the challenge and you take it on willingly. Now, the lesson of that challenge may be, maybe you need to create boundaries. Maybe you need to articulate your needs. Maybe you need to learn self-assertion. Maybe you need to learn to say no. Maybe you need to learn to prioritize your tasks and logistical tasks. I have a great video on that. You can go back onto my Facebook page or my YouTube channel and take a look at it. It's about the Eisenhower Matrix. There are different systems in prioritizing your tasks that really free up your mind to think about things you would rather think about, if you know what I'm saying. In fact, there's only about 2 to 3 really important things to do each day. The rest of it you delegate out or you schedule for later on in the day. There's never a list of 10 things to do. There's only 2 to 3 most important and urgent that you need to get done that day. Hopefully by the end of the day, you usually get them done in the morning because they're urgent and important. And when you learn how to organize your schedule, learn how to organize and prioritize your tasks, it'll free up your mind because it's basically checking off the list. I got that done, I got that done. And that's how you stay on top of things. When you stay on top of things, hey, you got to give up daydreaming. You got to give up your desire for comfort. This is the big one. Your attachment to comfort. Why aren't things comfortable and makes you angry? Life's not fair. It makes you angry when you think that. Makes you feel like a victim. You actually make yourself feel like a victim. It's your own dialogue that amplifies the irritation and frustration. Things that may be mildly irritating that you can just say, take a deep breath and just walk it off. Or just choose to not focus on the problem and choose to focus on the solution. When you're solution mindset, solution oriented, then you do what needs to be done and you move on to the next task and you don't look back. You don't need to look back. That's how you remain calm in the face of chaos. Easier said than done. Prioritize your tasks. Learn how to create boundaries. Learn how to say no. And learn how to effectively communicate in order that you can get, or you can, I'd say, develop a rapport with people that are asking you of things so they feel acknowledged, so they don't become even more demanding of you. You know, when someone doesn't listen to you and you're talking, what do? You start to talk louder, as if talking louder is going to make them understand you. If you want to be understood, then express yourself well, express yourself honestly and clearly, and then ask if they understand and got what you want them to get. And have them repeat back to you what it is that you want. And vice versa. When somebody is demanding something of you, asking you of something, make sure that you got what they want you to do. And once they feel heard and understood, that demanding demeanor that you perceive them to have is going to just dwindle down to, thanks, man, I appreciate it. So those are the ingredients of calming the chaos. Because when you apply technique rather than react, when you apply solutions rather than react, you keep your own sanity. You keep your blood pressure down. And at the end of the day, you look back and saying, wow, I got a lot done. I feel good about myself. I worked hard. I earned this beautiful dinner, delicious dinner, or whatever it is you want to do after work or on the weekend. And there's nothing greater, well, I can't say nothing greater, but it's a really good feeling to, at the end of a hard day's work, to have a satisfying meal and put your feet up, knowing that you've earned that. It builds your self-worth. It builds your self-esteem. When you're able to build your confidence, you go into work with an I can attitude. You go into your relationship with an I can attitude. You take charge. And you respond rather than react. You become a leader rather than a follower. And that's part of learning how to lead your life so you can create the life that's truly fulfilling, satisfying, and rewarding to you. And you keep your sanity. And you learn how to focus your mind on what needs to be done rather than the problem. Become solution-oriented and learn how to prioritize your tasks and learn how to say no and improve your communication skills. And those things are going to help you find that clarity in the face of chaos. If you need help doing that, I can do that for you. I have helped many, many clients with this problem. And it's not that hard once you apply these factors in. And you got to get into the habit of applying these solutions day in and day out till it becomes second nature. And then at the end of the month, you're going to look back and say, wow, I'm not stressed. I'm not, don't need to drink till I drop dead. You know what I mean? To deal with the stress. The days they could become harder, but in your mind, they become easier because you're handling it. And when you can feel like you can handle it, you don't dread the day. You look forward to it. You say, I got this. And if you want to be able to say that to yourself, go ahead and contact me. My information will be in my website link, which will be in the description below this video and podcast. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. Thank you so much for listening.